Hey guys, welcome back to One All's Pub. Well, it's been a while. I've certainly been on break for a while here, and I think you guys all know the story behind that. If you don't, please check out my channel update video. Long and the short of it, my dad passed away back in May, and it's just been tough to get back into doing YouTube videos and whatnot. But I've got some free time now. I'm going to try to get a few of them out here. I've had a lot of requests and people asking me to continue making videos, so I'm going to go ahead and do that. Thanks again to all you guys, all my subscribers and viewers and YouTube buddies who have stepped up both prayerfully and via text message and private message support-wise. For me and my family, really do appreciate that. But anyway, on with the knife show here on One All's Pub's Bar Top. Let's talk about this guy. As promised in my channel update vid I did a couple weeks ago, or 2, 3, 4 weeks ago, however long it's been, when I briefly showed this, I've had this Sebenza, large 21, for about, I don't know, 3-4 months now, probably at least. And it has pretty much become my go-to knife, more or less my constant companion. It's kind of become the knife for me. It's in many ways the Sebenza is the alpha knife. It's the when it comes to folding knives, it's not the first folding knife ever made for sure. It's the frame. Chris Reeve is obviously the inventor of the frame lock, or the Reeve integral lock. But when I call it the alpha knife, I mean more like it's the benchmark knife. It's the knife that everybody compares to. Whether it's a production knife or it's a custom knife. If you look at a custom knife and it's not as good as a Sebenza, then you think, the guy, maybe not. I'm not saying there's not better knives than this. There probably are, but I'm just saying it's the benchmark knife. And because the frame lock was invented by Chris Reeve, and because whenever he comes out with something new, like the Sebenza 25 or whatever, or the aluminum's on a few years ago, it becomes, people immediately jump on that knife too and want to start talking about that, and they compare even those knives back to, in this case, the Sebenza 21. But you can go back through Sebenza history to the regular Sebenza and the classic Sebenza and back on if you know your Sebenza history. And this knife just, it exemplifies knife making in the 21st, late 20th, early 21st century here. At its pinnacle, and it's so well made and so well designed and so purpose built that I've just come to fall in love with it. Now, if you watch my channel, you know that this is not my first and only Sebenza. I've had others, primarily this one, which is the Insingo. This is the clip point blade, which is kind of the normal Sebenza blade, and then the Insingo blade is the sheep's foot Wharncliffe, as the Apostle P would say, the Warren's foot of the sheep's cliff blade. Being a fan of Wharncliffe and sheep's foot blades, I gravitated towards this when I decided to go ahead and get a Sebenza. Now, I was certainly one of those people that was late to the Chris Reeve game. Not to say that I didn't think they were good knives before, but for whatever reason, they just never really drew me at, for whatever reason. I knew they were nice knives. I knew they were well made. I never had a dispute with the fact that they were well built. They always just looked so basically plain, I guess, and that just didn't, for whatever reason. As you go through your knife preferences and those evolve through your knife hobby through the years. This particular style of knife just was like, okay, it's pretty basic, but there's like a lot of wild, cool, tactical looking knives and neat stuff like that out. And I just, for whatever reason, the Sebenza just didn't tug at me that strongly. Finally, I just decided to see what all the hoopla was about, and I bought one. And because, like I said, I'm kind of a Wharncliffe fan, I went ahead and bought the Insingo, and I love this knife. And didn't really have any intention then of getting a clip one. I did buy a 3-inch, the small Sebenza with a 3-inch blade, or just under 3-inch, a while ago too. I thought, well, I'll get a small and then I'll get that in the clip point. And I did like it. It was just a little small for me, and I ended up selling it just because I just tend not to carry knives that small much, and these are not cheap knives, and that's a lot of money to have wrapped up in a knife you're not going to carry much. or at least a knife that you don't tend to want to carry, put it that way. I can see having a knife that you don't carry much because it's so nice, but a knife that you don't carry much because it doesn't, you don't want to carry that size of a knife, and to have good money wrapped up in it just didn't make sense to me. So I sold it. At any rate, and then I decided, well, if I ever do get another one, I'll go ahead and get a large with the clip point just to have, a pair. And so I went ahead and picked one of these up, thinking that it would be more or less just kind of the completion of the Sebenza collection. And turned out that actually, once I had it, that this turned out to be the knife that I like even better than the Insingo. And the reason being, I mean, the blade shape itself is obviously very different. Both are excellent blade shapes. I still love the Insingo blade shape, don't get me wrong. Both very functional, more of a traditional type blade here being, and it is a clip point, believe it or not. I know it looks like a drop point, and I've myself in the past have made the mistake of calling it a drop point, but if you feel right here, there is a slight little clip right here in the spine of the knife, so it is truly a clip point, believe it or not. But anyway, both blade shapes are very handsome and very functional. But what has really turned me on, what converted me to this over the Insingo as far as being in the favorite slot is that right there, that profile. I just love, aesthetically, just love the way that blade disappears into the handle. You've got, what, maybe 40% of the handle that doesn't show any blade. That just disappears. You look at the Insingo, and that blade runs clear down, clear to the end. So you got 95% of the blade showing. Here you've only got about 60% of the blade showing, and it just looks very appealing to me. It reminds me of like a Corvette, like the lines of a Corvette, or maybe even like a Jaguar. With kind of the big swoopy fenders, like you see on like a C3 Corvette or a Jaguar, or even a C2 Corvette, maybe with the bulbous fenders. I don't know. It's just got a real racy look to it, I guess. And I like the way it feels in the hand too. It's just, it's so slim, and being relatively light. Both of these are, but being relatively light at 4.7 ounces, it just carries in the pocket so well, and it carries so slim. That I have just come to absolutely love this knife. This is my favorite knife out of all my knives, Hinderers included. Yes, you guys all know what a Hinderer freak I am, but this is the one. This is the one knife that I would keep if all other knives had to go away. It's that good, and it's got typical Chris Reeve solid lockup, no blade play at all. Very smooth, just so smooth. Free dropping blade. I tend to like this, just the plain Jane version, just with the plain old gray TI. So if I can get the focus on this instead of Bert in the background here. It does pick up its little snail trails and scuffs and marks. You can see some on there. It holds up pretty well, but those are just character marks, and that's fine. You can see them on the pocket clip. You see those here on, on the Insingo too. And it's just what happens when you carry them, and that's fine. Like I said, I actually kind of like it. It kind of gives them character. But they also, the Sebenza also comes with inlays. You can get them with micarta and carbon fiber and wood and whatnot, and those are gorgeous. And they add a little bit of width to the overall handle. Not badly, but they do add a little bit of width to the overall handle. And I just like this plain Jane one. This is just, I love the way it feels in the hand. I love the way it carries in the pocket, and it's just the perfect knife. It really is. It's the alpha knife. That said, as much as I love this, and I do, I will admit, when it comes to Sebenzas, the plain Jane ones are not necessarily the most visually stunning. They're fine looking, but they are a little plain. You want to talk visually stunning? Take a look at this. May I introduce Snake Plissken. This is my latest Sebenza, a snakewood inlaid large 21 with polished scales and snakewood inlays and a polished blade. They call it polished, it's really more of a satin. And this one, so smooth. There's a bit of a story behind this, so I'm going to save that for another video. It's deserving of its own video. But that thing is gorgeous. I mean, that thing is just like crazy good looking, like the most clearly outshines the plain Jane in pure aesthetics. But these guys with their plain Jane gray scuffed up titanium with that velvety smooth texture that they have, tough to beat. But specifically this guy, the clip point, your normal old everyday large 21 Sebenza. Guys, if you've never had one of these and you think it's all hype and hoopla, get yourself one. Here's what'll happen. You'll get it, you'll go, okay, it's a nice knife, what's the big deal? And then you'll carry it for a couple of months. And you'll all of a sudden find that you're carrying it more and more and more. And you'll find that other knives that you compare it to tend not to live up to the standard that this one sets. So, do yourself a favor. If you have the wherewithal and you have the inclination and you ever thought you wanted one, pick one up. Such an amazing knife. Now, if you want the 25 or the regular, or if you just whatever, just the Sebenza, fill in the blank version, whatever it is, get one. I'm telling you, you won't be disappointed. This is an amazing knife. It's the king of knives in my book and in my collection. And that's 1 all's 2 cents. Keep the change. Sláinte.